A break for us is, I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something like that.
No, that's not a break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. It was still no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
How in the world do you think you making babies in this world and don't have a job? Who's supposed to take care of them? Me? How do you think you cannot have a job?
What?
How do you, what?
I couldn't hear you.
No, it's called excuse me, ma'am. See, we're gonna get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm gonna give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
When I say something, answer's not what.
Okay.
You didn't teach them correctly.
Ms. Nichols says Mr. Young denies being her 13-month-old daughter's dad. Mr. Young insists she was pregnant before they met. The awkward finger-pointing begins, and it only gets messier.
Ms. Nichols, you've dragged the defendant, Mr. Young, to court today because you say he denies he's the father of your 13-month-old daughter, Sine. You say it's time for him to step up and take responsibility. You say you refuse to accept Sine because you claim that Ms. Nichols was already pregnant when you began your relationship.
Ms. Nichols says she left Mr. Young because he cheated, while Mr. Young says she practically moved in after a Facebook chat. Their stories are worlds apart, and the drama is just getting started.
He actually started denying her when I moved out of his house because he was cheating. I've known Mr. Young for 19 years. We met when we were 15 years old, and when I met him again on Facebook, you know, we automatically moved in together.
We didn't automatically move in. She hit me up on Facebook, talking about because she'd been trying to find me. Came over, she was still on the same thing she was when I first met her, trying to get back.
Mr. Young claims Ms. Nichols had a sugar daddy paying her bills. She admits he helped, but denies anything more. This sugar daddy gave rides, meals, and cash, which only makes this mess even crazier.
And who is this man?
He's a friend of mine.
Do you have sex with him?
No, I do not.
You don't have
How
to...
old is he?
73.
Whoa. He calls him your sugar daddy. What does he do for you?
Any and everything I ask him to. Since he wants to go there, he had no problem with this man when we were hungry, and I would call him and he would bring us something to eat. You know, anything I called and asked this man for, he would come.
The court tries to sort out the pregnancy timeline, but Mr. Young says the dates don't add up. Ms. Nichols says the baby was born early, but Mr. Young's not buying it. Tensions rise just in time for the lie detector results.
Do you remember the night you believe you conceived?
I say around the middle of November, around the 15th, give or take.
This conception date, your due date would be approximately August 12th, 2015. And when was Sine born?
May 28th. She was 11 weeks early, Your Honor.
This leads you to believe this is not your biological child.
This just didn't really add up to me. It was dark and...
It says Ms. Nichols was truthful about not sleeping with anyone else, but she lied about her sugar daddy. Mr. Young jumps on this as proof, just as birth certificate drama heats up next.
When we asked you if once you began a sexual relationship, did you have sexual intercourse with anyone else, you said yes.
Wow.
And the lie detector determined you were being truthful.
Mr. Young says he never signed the birth certificate, but the court shows it with his name on it. There's even a photo of him cuddling the baby at the hospital. Just when you think it can't get more dramatic, the DNA results come in.
So you say you didn't sign this birth certificate?
I don't recall signing nothing, ma'am.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yes, he was there. That's him while she was still in the hospital.
That's a beautiful picture. You don't look like you have doubt in that picture.
Your Honor, her attitude and the way she treats me, bogus. That's why I want to make sure that I'm taking care of a child that's mine.
Mr. Young, you are her father.
And surprise.
This wild case kicks off with Benning vs. Bodine. Mr. Benning suspects he isn't the father after his partner's affair, but Ms. Bodine insists he is. Get ready, things are about to get heated.
Mr. Benning, you recently appeared in couples court and it was confirmed that the defendant cheated on you. This infidelity has caused questions regarding your 2-year-old daughter, Robin, and 6-month-old son, Jermaine Jr.'s paternity. Although you are hopeful that both are your children.
Mr. Benning talks about his deep bond with his daughter, Robin. He dreamed of having a daughter after losing his mom, and Robin was his dream come true. But knowing what's coming next makes this feel like the calm before the storm.
First off, Your Honor, my mother passed away when I was 14 years old. She was my best friend. We spent every waking moment together. After she died, it, left me hurt. I always wanted a daughter, and I promised I was going to take care of her and treat her like my mother took care of me.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
I've always stuck by with that.
So having a daughter has been so important to you.
So important. I waited first.
While Ms. Bodine was giving birth, Mr. Benning got a text saying someone else was the father. Despite the shock, he signed the birth certificate and stayed calm. His loyalty in that moment is impressive, but things are about to unravel.
It actually happened during labor, Your Honor. I was in the hospital sitting across from Kayla. She was pushing this baby out, and I received a text from a guy telling me to leave the hospital because that's his baby and he needs to be there.
What?
I am in labor, like literally in the hospital. And I received a text telling me that the child that I'm waiting to come isn't mine.
Ms. Bodine had already tested another possible father, and it came back negative. Mr. Benning isn't reassured, wondering if there are more possibilities.
How do you know this other guy is not the biological father?
Because, Your Honor, I stood up, did the woman and the mother thing I had to do, and got the other guy tested.
Oh.
And he wasn't the father.
And you submitted those results to the court?
Yes, I did.
That the probability of paternity between you and this other guy is 0%.
Yes.
The tension keeps building. Mr. Benning talks about how hard it is to raise Robin while doubting she's his. He describes the pain of people claiming to be her dad. Just when it's almost too much, the DNA results come in.
Stan, what does that feel like when she says that to you, Mr. Benning?
That little girl right there is my mother come back to be with me.
And
When
she
you
looks
tell me
just
that,
like your
when you tell
mother.
me
She's
she's
her
not mine, it feels like you're taking my mother away from me again.
Look at them. Look, they're twins.
She's beautiful.
They are.
They do look a lot alike.
The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Benning, you are not the father.
What the?
Miss McCrary says Mr. Goodson hasn't done anything for their 18-month-old daughter, Arian. He denies being the father and doesn't think he belongs there. Drama's about to heat up, and it gets spicy real quick.
Ms. McCrary, you have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that the defendant is the father of your miracle baby, 18-month-old Arian McCrary.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim Mr. Goodson has done nothing for your daughter, but today that's going to change.
Miss McCrary vents about Mr. Goodson barely being around for their daughter. She gets emotional about having her first child and how much Arian means to her. This story is full of layers, and it's about to get deeper.
He has been to a certain extent. One hand, how many times?
One hand in 17 months, you can count?
Yes, Your Honor, and counting.
And when you see her?
That's my miracle baby. You know, conceive. You know, when you're in a relationship with a man for so many years, you know, you have unprotected sex, you're trying to get pregnant, things of that nature, it doesn't happen. You think you can't get pregnant.
Miss McCrary claims Mr. Goodson ignored her and their baby when she saw him with his other family. He denies it, saying he didn't see the child. It's a heated back and forth, and neither is backing down.
Did you walk past Arian in the store and not even acknowledge her at all?
That's not true. We actually seen each other at the same time. She was coming, and I was going toward the checkout. She was going, I guess she was going to get an item or something. And we never said, I didn't even know that Arian was with her. Yes,
But you are not acknowledging that you are the father of this beautiful baby.
Mr. Goodson says their relationship started casually, but then caught feelings. He accuses Miss McCrary of being secretive with her phone. This fling is getting messy, and the drama is just beginning.
Every time we got together, it was like her phone used to ring a lot, and she come over there. You know, we stayed on two different sides of town. She'll come over there probably a day or two, and I might not hear from her, a couple more days after that, or whenever she's around. Her phone is just constantly going off, and she was always secretive about it. So
what was the nature of
it
this?
was friends hanging out, and
Miss McCrary reveals Mr. Goodson was still married when they were together. Judge Lake reminds everyone that separated isn't divorced. The situation is wild, and it only gets crazier.
You wanted to make things a little more serious. How serious could it get when you already had another person?
well, we was married but separated, and she was just like, nah, that's not what I want right now. And this, so
But do you blame her maybe being a little nervous because even though you were separated, you were still married? And I always say a man is married until he is divorced.
Okay.
It's just, that's the way it is.
Miss McCrary vividly describes the night she thinks she got pregnant, complete with a stop at American Deli. She talks about their unprotected fun and how sure she is about the timing. Just when you think that's enough, the details keep coming.
He picked me up that night from work, July the 10th. If I'm not mistaken, we got American Deli, okay? He likes to eat. I like to eat. Not a problem. Extra chicken, extra cheese, sub sandwich. When you're grown, you're nasty, you get in tune. I like the things he do to me, vice versa. We enjoy each other. Why not? We're grown. We hadn't had protected sex, so come on. At the end of the day.
Miss McCrary says Mr. Goodson initially promised to support her, but then backed out. He now questions why she even called him, claiming they hadn't been intimate for months. The tension keeps rising, and the arguments are about to explode.
What happens when you find out you're pregnant?
Well, of course, I told family members they were up for my decision, and I had to just sit and, think about it. So when I told him, he was just up for it. I rub your stomach, take you to the doctor's appointment. I just felt like, oh, okay, well, maybe he heard for me. Got me thinking that, it's gonna be all okay. It was not all okay. You know, I didn't want to be by myself.
Mr. Goodson claims Miss McCrary admitted to being with someone else during the pregnancy. He's skeptical due to a previous false paternity claim. The drama keeps escalating with no end in sight.
Thought about it because as a woman, you saying a real woman shouldn't have sex with other men, but at the end of the day, when you go back to your dates, a real woman know who she having sex with. You know, when I told him my date and I went back and told him when it happened, why, you know, what we was doing, it could be a possibility. Oh yeah.
Mr. Goodson admits he visited the hospital after the birth, but didn't sign the certificate because of doubts. Miss McCrary argues he should have stepped up anyway. Now, DNA results are coming, and the truth is about to be revealed.
Did you sign the birth certificate for Arian?
No, I did not. I just didn't want to tie myself to that responsibility until I knew that she was mine.
It takes two, Your Honor. You come with chump change. Don't do that. You know, you help me. If I have something I don't have, I'm gonna tell you what I have. You can't even foot a half bill. And then, come on now, you saying that I bailed out on you. Make it make sense, baby.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
Has been determined by this court. Mr. Goodson, you are the father.
Oh, okay.
Judge Lake opens Thomas v. Zachary, with Mr. Thomas wanting a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah. He says he was tricked into signing the birth certificate and now faces child support. Miss Zachary insists he's the dad and should step up.
Mr. Thomas, you claim you've been petitioning the court system for a DNA test for 15-month-old Hannah Thomas for more than a year now. Now, you've been notified that you will be paying because you signed the birth certificate, but claim it was under false pretenses.
The relationship timeline is a roller coaster. Breakups, reunions, and a surprise pregnancy. Mr. Thomas thought the baby was his until doubts crept in. Now he questions everything, and it's about to get intense.
Your Honor, me and Rakaya were separated towards July, maybe for a couple weeks. August, we got back together, you know, towards the end of August, beginning of September, she told me I feel pregnant. And we went to buy like maybe 4 or 5 pregnancy tests that day.
Your Honor, I found out that I was pregnant September 18th, to be exact with you. I went to that doctor's appointment and I came home, I handed him the papers. This is my results at the doctor. This is my proof of pregnancy.
Mr. Thomas claims the pregnancy timeline is way off from what he expected. He believes Miss Zachary lied, but she says she was carrying twins, which changed things. More drama follows as they revisit their break.
First time ever having twin children, and I didn't know at the time that I was even carrying twins.
We went to the doctor, and maybe probably was about 3 or 4 weeks later, and the doctor was telling her, yeah, you need to stop smoking cigarettes. Telling me like, look, you need to be honest about smoking cigarettes. Here's her paperwork. And he showed me the paperwork, and it said 15 or 17 weeks or something like that. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, y'all.
No.
Ms. Zachary admits seeing someone else during their break, but still claims Mr. Thomas is the dad. He's not buying it and questions her actions. Their arguments escalate, making the courtroom feel tense.
Had been on a break over a month and a half when I was with the other guy in July.
A break for us is I'm leaving out the house, I'm gonna go to my parents' house for a while, or you leave and you go with your mom or something.
No, that's
like
not
that.
a break.
That was a break between us, and we were always back together within a month's time. It was still no excuse. A break is not an excuse to go sleep with someone and have a child by someone else at all.
The couple shares their grief over losing one twin, Heather. Mr. Thomas says his way of coping was different, and Ms. Zachary says it made her feel he doubted the babies were his. The heartbreak only adds to the tension.
We had twins. Hannah is a twin. It was Hannah and Heather. Heather was the big one. She ended up passing away a month after she was born.
I'm sorry.
You know,
right, what did you put me through the whole time? Was you supportive on that?
We grieved in 2 different ways. Oh my God, I don't want to leave the house. I'm stressed. Like, she was looking at me like I didn't have any type of sympathy about what was going on.
Ms. Zachary kept seeing the other man after Hannah was born. Confirmed by Mr. Thomas's stepdaughter, she saw another man around their home, even in their bed. Things keep unraveling as more secrets emerge.
She was still sleeping with this man after Hannah was born. Matter of
That's
fact,
how it was, because we decided that we wasn't going to be together. We've been on and off for 5 years.
The guy that's Hannah's dad, he just slept with her 2 weeks ago.
Really,
We were on a break for a month. She just slept with him 2 weeks ago in my bed. She didn't go to his house. She didn't go to a hotel. It was the bed that we shared.
Mr. Hill, Mr. Thomas's uncle, says Ms. Zachary showed him pictures of another possible dad. He claims she seemed unsure who the father was. This adds more weight to Mr. Thomas's demand for a DNA test.
I don't think that he is the father of Hannah.
You don't?
The reason why is because she just don't look like him. And another reason, one time me and, Rakaya was hanging out in the house. They had got into it. He had left to get some air. She had actually showed me pictures of who she really thought was the baby's dad.
Judge Lake decides a DNA test is necessary after hearing all the chaos. Both Mr. Thomas and Ms. Zachary agree, clearly anxious about what's coming. The courtroom clears with everyone anticipating the results.
Anything you'd like to say, Ms. Zachary?
I just want to say I made mistakes. I never meant to hurt anybody. I'm nervous, I'm scared. I just want him to be her dad. That's it.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Thomas, you are her father.
This case starts wild. Ms. Jones wants Mr. Houston to pay for their baby, but Mr. Houston and his mom say this is all about jealousy. Buckle up, this is just the start of the drama.
Ms. Jones, you and your mother say you are tired of the defendant's denial. He's the biological father of your 6-month-old son, and once the DNA results prove your claim, you demand to be reimbursed for Baby Lyric's child care expenses.
Ms. Jones dumped Mr. Houston before prom, calling him immature, while he accuses her of cheating. His mom even brings up some suspicious texts, but Ms. Jones denies everything. Drama keeps piling up as they discuss the pregnancy.
Well, Your Honor, he was so immature that I had to break it off with him a week before prom. He let everybody in his ear. He doesn't have a brain for himself.
Were you boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yes, we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
In high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Houston, do you think for yourself?
No.
You don't? Who thinks for you?
Yes, you do, honey.
Ms. Jones waited until she was 8 months pregnant to tell Mr. Houston, avoiding his family's drama. Mr. Houston's mom thinks it's just to cause problems for him and his new girlfriend. More bombshells are coming.
I found out June 3rd that I was pregnant. And then, once I scheduled the date for my actual appointment to see how far along I was a whole month pregnant because of all the drama that I went through with being with him. And so I knew that they were probably going to deny my baby. I told him when I was 8 months because I had to.
Told him when you were 8 months?
Yes.
Oh, my mom.
Mr. Houston's girlfriend and mom claim Ms. Jones mentioned other possible dads. Ms. Jones denies it, insisting she was only with Mr. Houston. His mom adds stories about shady phone calls, and tensions rise.
He seen Nigel come in and he said, is this the dude that dated Nakisha? And I said, yeah, that's him. And he was like, the dude told me, and that's over there, Stock told him that he was the father of her child.
How was I even supposed to cheat or anything when I was with him the whole time?
No,
when
you
did I
were
ever
not.
have time to
No,
cheat?
you were not.
I was working the whole time.
She was
I
back.
at the house. So when did I ever have time to cheat?
The judge steps in, scolding Mr. Houston for being jobless and his mom for not teaching him responsibility. She delivers the truth. If you're making babies, get a job. The courtroom applauds, gearing up for the DNA reveal.
How in the world do you think you making babies in this world and don't have a job? Who's supposed to take care of them? Me? How do you think you cannot have a job?
What?
What?
I couldn't hear you.
It's called excuse me, ma'am. See, we're gonna get it right in here today. I don't know who's teaching you, but I'm gonna give you a lesson.
I'm teaching them.
When I say something, answer's not what.
Okay.
You didn't teach them correctly. Mr. Houston, you are the father.
Boom! Yeah.
Miss Jones?
Mr. Reed says it's impossible he's Lucas's dad, and the judge kicks off Whittier v. Reed. He doubts he's the father due to medical reasons, while Ms. Whittier just wants them to stop fighting. This case is about to get messy, so buckle up.
Ms. Whittier, you say that you are sure Mr. Reed is the father of your 22-month-old son, Lucas, but the defendant's paternity doubts have led to constant fighting and tension in your relationship. You desperately hope to prove he is the father to save your family.
One bad argument turned everything upside down. Ms. Whittier blurted out, "How do you even know he's yours?" Oops, big mistake, because Mr. Reed started doubting everything. Things are already awkward, and it's about to get worse when the exes show up.
Shortly before Lucas's birth, we had an argument. That argument led to the ultimate gonna shut him up kind of moment. So I said, well, how do you know if it's even yours?
You say that in the argument?
Yes. I never doubted it was his, but I just kind of wanted to end the argument and let it be done. And I've regretted that statement ever since I made it.
Their love story starts like a failed movie rescue. Mr. Reed thought Ms. Whittier's kid was drowning, but she was just swimming. Heroic fail led to dinner, sparks flying, and romance. It was all great until exes and arguments crashed the party.
Tried to save my toddler that he thought was drowning. He didn't realize she could swim.
Oh, that's cute.
It was a baby, and she was adorable, cute little stubby thing running around the pool in a little swimmer diaper. Jumps in the pool, so I'm laying in a lawn chair, getting my tan on. Now, here she goes. I look up, she jumps in the pool, and I'm right behind her, and I come up looking for her, swimming around.
Enter the exes, and it turns into a full-on soap opera. Mr. Reed's ex whispers, "What if Lucas isn't yours?" While Ms. Whittier's ex sends a not-so-great video. Trust issues everywhere.
When did the plot twist come?
With his ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
The conflict started between me and her. Well, then she starts whispering in his ear, oh, well, what if it's not yours? There was some argument. An ex of mine decided to be disgusting, send a very vulgar message to my phone. He found it and thought that maybe there was some continuing relationship there.
Ms. Whittier faced a scary blood clot during pregnancy and called Mr. Reed for support. Despite his doubts, he came to be by her side, proving he still cared. They survived this, but bigger challenges awaited after Lucas was born.
Until I got sick. I had a blood clot, and they put me in the hospital, put me on blood thinners, and they said the blood thinners carry a massive risk, neither one of you making it through. And I called him and I said, you need to come home.
I'd never been so scared in my life.
And I told him that I didn't know if Lucas was gonna make it.
All I could do not to cry too, but I knew as a man that I needed to be strong.
Baby Lucas started having seizures and was diagnosed with albinism, leaving his parents in shock. Mr. Reed, proud of his healthy genes, couldn't understand it, fueling more doubts. The court brought in an expert to explain this condition.
On its surface, when they first told me, I laughed because I didn't realize how serious it was. We all hear the word albino. Nobody actually thinks about what it means. And suddenly you realize it doesn't just mean that he's pale and blonde and blue-eyed. It means that his skin can't take sunlight.
The only huge doubt I had is the albinism. That was a physical proof.
The genetics expert explained that albinism comes from recessive genes, which can happen even if neither parent shows it. Science is weird like that. It helped clear things up, but Mr. Reed still needed solid proof.
Albinism is passed genetically from the parents to the child, but depending on which gene is affected, depends on whether both parents or one parent passes it.
Oh.
Normally, albinism trait or recessive, and when it meets a copy of itself, meaning both parents having the albinism, the same gene affected, then it becomes dominant.
The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Reed, you are the father. You did have a relationship with their father. Did you know he was married?
Yes, Your Honor. He told me he was married.
We didn't have the money. Like, my mom was doing everything by herself. It's ridiculous. Like, I may be 22 now, just like everybody else. Everybody else wants to know who their dad is. It shouldn't matter because I'm 22.
Ms. DeVos, you write back, he's not your son. So as long as I'm on the birth certificate, I'm not going anywhere. You ruined my whole life. DeVos, you respond, you're not his father. You ruined your own life.
Why would you still mess with a married man? Why would you do that?
You know, and that was just like sleeping behind with a married man, and why would you do such a thing as being a woman?
My mom's being a mom, and she's trying to figure this out. So these men just need to step up and help her out. She can't do it by herself. She can't. It's impossible.
You cold-blooded because you told him he was the biological father.
Yes, I did. He had the option if he wanted to be there or not. I didn't.
Okay, this part was pretty crazy. Ms. Smith finds out that Malachi might be her nephew, but for the longest time, she had no clue. She talks about how she's cool with it now. Like, if this is her brother's kid, she's not gonna push him away. She wants to love on him and get to know him, even though it's all new. Things are starting to get real interesting, and it's clear she's all in to build this new family connection.
What was the explanation?
She just said she had a lot going on and she didn't want to really get into it.
And so at that point, did you just accept?
I accept him because, I mean, if this could be my brother's baby, I don't want to push him away. That's just the type of person that I am. I mean, if this is my brother's child, I want to get to know him. I want to take him in. I want to love on him.
This one's just straight up shocking. Miss Smith, the grandma, admits she literally met Malachi for the first time the day before. Yeah, 4 years went by and she had never even laid eyes on him until now. The audience is like, what? And even the judge is surprised. The family drama is starting to heat up, but there's definitely more to come.
I didn't even know who Malachi was. Yesterday was the first time I even touched that child.
So yesterday was the first time you ever seen him in person?
Not until yesterday.
In 4 years?
In 4 years. I never knew nothing about him.
Oh, that's precious. So, Miss Laster, I don't get it. You have the 2 other children.
This part's got all the feels. Ms. Laster talks about how losing Travis really messed her up. It was the first time someone really cared about her, and it hurt so bad that she just couldn't deal with it. So instead of handling the whole paternity thing, she kind of just ignored it. But hang on, things are about to get a little more complicated.
That was the first time I ever been with somebody that actually cared about. That was the first time, I met them and they loved me. I've lived with Miss Dolores too. I left it alone and left it unnoticed. And it was too late. We didn't have, Florida, you can only do but so much. It's not many things that you can go through to try to get DNA done.
Well, things just took a turn. Ms. Laster drops a bombshell. She was with someone else during the same time she could have gotten pregnant. Judge Lake's like, wait, what? And suddenly, it's not so clear who the dad might be. Now we've got 2 potential dads in the picture, and this whole thing just got a lot messier.
You were also with someone else during that time, am I correct?
Well, yeah, but the reason I can say for sure that it is his,
Not only did Malachi started stuttering first, so it kind of threw me for a loop because none of my children had speech impediments. Is this normal? Have Travis had these issues in the past? And she was like, yeah, he used to stutter when he was a kid.
And here's where it gets weird. Ms. Laster says Malachi was tested alongside her other kids, and the results said the other guy was 99.9% not the dad. Judge Lake is all kinds of confused because, that's not how DNA tests are supposed to work. Now the whole courtroom is scratching their heads, wondering if these results even make sense. Let's just say things are about to get cleared up by someone who actually knows what's going on.
The other man, we had some things going on for us, court issues with our children, with our 2 children. So I had Malachi DNA tested too, which came out to be 99.9% not his. So that's how I know for sure he's not the other guy.
99.9% not his?
Yes.
Okay, this part is hilarious. Dr. Baird, the DNA expert, comes in and basically tells Ms. Laster, yeah, that's not how DNA results are supposed to work. He explains that if someone's not the dad, it should just say 0%. None of this 99.9% stuff. The judge is like, thank you, finally some sense. And now everyone's waiting for the real results. But buckle up, because the truth is about to hit hard.
The typical way to express an exclusion of paternity is to say that the alleged father has a probability of paternity of 0%. So you're basically asked to report the probability of paternity when you do a test. It'll either be 99.9% or higher. I've never heard a result the way that you've read it before.
Here's where everyone's jaws hit the floor. The first DNA test results come in, and bam!
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Dolores Smith and Malachi Laster is 0.00%. You are not related.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Okay, things got real messy right from the start. Rashawn Clay Edmond, the mother of DeAnthony, steps into court and drops a bomb, saying Ms. Rudolph is lying about her son being the father of her 2-year-old daughter. Ms. Edmond is straight up accusing Ms. Rudolph of just wanting money, and she says she's got receipts that another dude is the real dad. Buckle up, because this is just the beginning of the drama train that's about to hit.
Ms. Clay Edmond, you are in court on behalf of your son, DeAnthony, who tragically died in a car accident. You want to prove that he is not the biological father of the defendant's 2-year-old daughter, Debria. You say Ms. Rudolph is trying to swindle money from the family, and you have evidence to prove another man is the father.
Oh boy, here we go again. This is getting wild. Ms. Edmond reveals that after she first accepted Dabria as her son's kid, random people started blowing up her phone saying, nope, there's another guy who's actually the dad. Make things crazier, she finds out that this mystery guy is even listed on the birth certificate. Now the whole situation is getting messier than spaghetti dropped on a carpet, and trust me, it's only gonna get juicier.
Yes, I wanted to accept the baby because she said this was my son, baby. I'm hurting. Anything connected to him, I wanted to be a part of. That's when we started getting messages from different people saying that she was doing this for money, that it was another young man named on the birth certificate, and the little baby had another man's name.
And just when you thought things couldn't get more chaotic, boom, another plot twist. Ms. Edmond drops a bombshell, saying this other guy straight up told her that Ms. Rudolph promised him he was the dad before he even signed the birth certificate. So now there's major confusion about who the real dad is, and it's looking more complicated than a math test on a Monday morning. But don't worry, we're about to dive even deeper into this drama.
I heard a conversation that we was all on the three-way, and he's telling me about her telling him she knew 100% sure he was the father before he signed the birth certificate.
So another man said he was the biological father of Debria.
Yes.
And your son was not. And he signed the birth certificate.
Yes.
Seriously, twists keep coming like they're never gonna stop. The birth certificate is shown to the court, and surprise, surprise, there's another guy's name listed as the father. This totally shakes Ms. Edmond's argument, giving her even more reasons to believe DeAnthony isn't the dad. But just when you think you figured it all out, the DNA test is on deck, and you know that's gonna flip everything upside down.
This is the birth certificate for Debria Taylor Rudolph.
Yes, Shauna.
And there is another man listed. So did you think about putting DeAnthony's name on the birth certificate since you believe he was truly the biological father, Miss Rudolph?
I was gonna take that off and put nobody up there.
And I also got a picture of the other guy that's supposed to be listed on the birth certificate.
He has a whole bunch of pictures.
All right, folks, here's where things get really real. The DNA test results are in, and it's about to get seriously awkward.
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Clay Edmond and Debria Rudolph is 99.98%.
Thank you.
Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge are back in court for round 2. Last time, they found out their dad had a secret affair, and their friend turned out to be their sister. Now they think their dad might have had another affair, and guess what? Yep, another secret sibling might be in the mix.
Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wildridge, you learned your deceased dad had kept a secret from you your entire life. It turns out that he had cheated on your mother, and you discovered that a good friend of yours was actually your biological sister.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today, you're back because you say your father may have had an affair with yet another woman.
Correct, Your Honor.
Ms. Swan says she had an affair with the sister's dad, knowing he was married. And to make it even crazier, she thinks her son, Mr. Williams, is their brother. Oh, and don't worry, he's about to show up soon to shake things up.
Miss Swan, you're the woman who claims to have had an affair with their father. You admit that you kept it a secret because he was a married man. You believe your son was a result of that relationship, and he is indeed their brother. Your son, Mr. Williams, is waiting outside of the courtroom, and we'll meet him in just a moment.
Ms. McMahon remembers seeing a photo of a boy in 1999 people said was her brother. She didn't think he looked like her, so she brushed it off. But fast forward to 2001, and this dude shows up at her mom's house claiming to be their dad's son. Awkward much?
Well, back in 1999, I was shown a picture. I was at someone that we considered a cousin because we were so close growing up. I was told that it was my brother. I looked at the picture, but I didn't see any resemblance. So at that time, I just passed it off as something that they were trying to say, and I never thought about it again.
Ms. Wilridge tells the court about the day this guy showed up, saying he was their dad's son. She wasn't convinced, though, said he didn't look anything like her dad, so she let it go. Now, all these years later, she's wondering if she missed something big.
A few days before we did see him, my sister had said, well, we think possibly this guy could be your brother's. And he met my oldest sister and my mom, and I kind of hung in the back a little bit, and then I went out and I greeted him. When I first seen him, he didn't have any similarities of my father. So they sat and we talked a while in the living room, and we had a little conversation, and he left.
Mrs. Swan stands there saying she knew the guy was married, but didn't care. The crowd's not having it, and the whole room goes off when she says she didn't feel bad about it at all. It's like everyone's yelling, really? No guilt at all?
You did have a relationship with their father. Did you know he was married?
Yes, Your Honor. He told me he was married.
But why would you still mess with a married man? Why would you do that?
And not only was he a married man, but you were also messing with a guy that you knew was messing with your neighbor.
friend.
You know, and that was just like sleeping behind with a married man. And why would you do such a thing as being a woman?
Mrs. Swan says the affair lasted about 1.5 years. But hold up, there were rumors it went on for years. Sisters are frustrated, and who can blame them? They just want to know the truth already.
It was a long time before we had a relationship. I say about a month passed.
Do you feel bad for what you've done to a family, a wife, a good wife who cooked, cleaned, took care of her kids? Feel any remorse for what you've done?
Knowing that he was married.
That part didn't even bother me.
And you was of age where it should have, you know, you're not a child.
You're just low and dirty and trifling.
Ms. Swan says she saw him right before he passed away. He left her house and said, "I'll see you in heaven," which, yikes, was the last thing he ever said to her. When she found out he died that night, you could feel the whole courtroom freeze.
Was the last time you saw him till when he passed away?
That night.
That night?
Because that night when he left my house, a friend of mine came by and told me he was dead.
Well, he didn't die at night.
My dad was found deceased 5:30 in the morning. My dad had passed. I think it came to him to where he was emotionally drained.
Mr. Williams enters the courtroom, and the first thing he mentions is his childhood memory of a green van. The sisters confirm it. That was definitely their dad's van. And now everyone's thinking, okay, this might actually be happening. It's one of those moments where everyone's connecting the dots at the same time.
Had you ever had an opportunity to meet this man?
I remember certain things of him, but I don't remember too much. I remember the van that he had, and I remember riding in this van. And
all his vehicles, that was one of his things. He used to build things, very handy person. So that van, that big green van, you're right.
Yes.
When you look at Mr. Williams, do you see your father?
Yes.
Ms. Swan says he never showed her son a picture of the man who could be his father. The sisters are mad, like really mad, because this guy never got to know his dad and had no idea what he even looked like. All those lost years hit them hard, and it's clear everyone's feeling the weight of the secrets.
Have you ever seen a picture of him?
No, man.
You've never, in 32 years, you've never in 32 years seen a picture of your father.
You robbed him. You really did.
Yes, I did, because I didn't have no pictures of him, and that was my fault, because on one of my faults, because I didn't take no picture of him, but he never did like taking no pictures.
The results are finally in, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court that you are half siblings.
Now he needs to go get his name changed. He's a junior.
Ms. Wilson comes in and says her son passed away just a month ago, and suddenly a bunch of women started showing up claiming he fathered their kids. Ms. Wilson is not buying it though, and thinks they just want to get their hands on Social Security money. Oh, and by the way, two of the women, Ms. Felix and Ms. Brown, are totally sure that her son is the dad of their kids, and they're ready to fight for those benefits.
Ms. Wilson, your son died tragically just 1 month ago.
Yes, ma'am.
You say that since then, a flood of women have come forward with claims that he fathered their children. You believe they are trying to pin their children on your son in an effort to get Social Security benefits. You both state that you are 100% that Mrs. Wilson's deceased son, Mr. Marquette Dames, is the biological father of your children.
Ms. Wilson is clearly heartbroken as she talks about losing her son, who was tragically shot. She's been having a tough time with the grief, and now, on top of that, she's got all these women coming forward claiming to have his kids. All she wants is to know the truth about who his kids are, so she can finally get some closure.
When they took him, they took a part of me too. They ripped my heart out. I just buried him July 30th. It's not easy for me as a mom. I just want to know who's his kids, who's not his kids, because everybody's talking about they got kids.
How many women?
It's 11 people. We're talking 11 kids here. So,
oh my goodness.
It's not just these two young ladies, you know.
Ms. Felix starts by explaining how Marquette, the deceased, was super involved in her pregnancy and their child's life. He went to doctor's appointments, made sure she had what she needed, and even helped name their daughter. Ms. Felix can't figure out why Ms. Wilson is now questioning the paternity when she was there the whole time, helping out and being part of the family.
He was the one providing me the food. He went to every doctor's appointment. He was there throughout the whole thing. She also knew about it.
So are you wondering now why she's questioning the paternity?
Yes, I am. I don't understand why someone do all the things you did for my daughter and then be questioning her paternity.
What kind of things did she do?
She was in our wedding. She helped me name my daughter. She was there when I had my daughter.
Ms. Wilson drops a bombshell, revealing that her son actually had doubts about being the father of a bunch of these kids before he died. Apparently, he told her not to say anything, but now she feels like she has to come clean. And on top of that, she even delayed her son's funeral for DNA testing to figure out who his real kids are.
Before he even got buried in the ground, called the Social Security office to get claims. He wasn't even in the ground. Funeral arrangements wasn't even ready. I didn't hold against him at all, because guess what? At the end of the day, it's my child. It ain't their child. They didn't care about my grief at that present time because it was all about the money to them. It's not all about him.
Ms. Felix straight up defends herself, saying she had no clue there were rules about waiting until someone's buried to file for Social Security. Her main thing was making sure her child got the financial support they deserve, so she doesn't get why Ms. Wilson is so upset. Ms. Felix even throws a little shade like, what's the problem? If I don't claim the money, you're gonna get it or something?
I didn't hear anything about any doubt until this vigil happened. I highly doubt that he actually told them that, you know, but even though, you know, on the obituary that they did, they completely changed all the kids' names.
Evidence
you gave them all different names, but I don't believe there was any doubt until that boy passed away. I don't believe he told them that. I think she's doubting him all because of the money. Honestly.
She explains how she and Marquette got together, moved quickly into a relationship, and how he totally accepted that she was pregnant. He was there when she went into labor and even put his name on the birth certificate, never doubting that Josiah was his kid. Oh, and she says he gave Josiah his last name. So yeah, she's pretty confident about the whole thing.
I was in a relationship with him. We moved pretty quickly, but we indeed were in a relationship. He claimed it, so we moved forward. Like I said, he came to me about me being pregnant. So with the bug being planted in my ear, I went ahead, set the appointment. Him and his family member took me to the appointment, and I found out I was pregnant July 15th. He took and rolled with it. He never questioned, never doubted.
The DNA results for Ms. Felix's child, Marquelia, are finally revealed.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Dame is the father.
Sorry about that, Lulu.
Okay, buckle up, because this starts off wild right away. Mr. Slaughter gets interviewed about his history with Ms. Johnson, and wow, the guy seems pretty confused. He says he found out just 2 years ago that he might be Damien's dad, but he's not buying it. He's like, nope, the kid doesn't even look like me. But then Ms. Johnson jumps in. Actually, I told you when Damien was 13. Oh boy, this is getting messy real fast. And guess what? This is just the beginning of the drama.
So Mr. Slaughter was not able to be in court today. However, the court was able to locate him and ask him a couple of questions. What was the nature of your relationship with Ms. Johnson, and how did you find out about Damien?
We met through a mutual friend. I know might have been sometime in the early 90s.
Things start to heat up when Damien, who's just done with all the confusion, pours out his feelings. He's like, listen, I don't care if I'm 22 or 13, I deserve to know who my dad is. It's clear that he's fed up with his mom handling this by herself, and he just wants someone to step up already. You can feel how tired he is of this whole mystery, and honestly, can you blame him? But hey, the fireworks aren't over yet. Trust me, what's coming next makes this even crazier.
We didn't have the money. Like, my mom was doing everything by herself. It's ridiculous. Like, I may be 22 now, just like everybody else. Everybody else wants to know who their dad is. It shouldn't matter because I'm 22. It shouldn't matter if I'm 13, 6, or 7. My mom's being a mom and she's trying to figure this out. So these men just need to step up and help her out. She can't do it by herself. She can't. It's impossible. She didn't make me by herself.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Mr. Slaughter, the guy who's all not my kid, starts backpedaling and says, well, if it turns out I am the dad, I'll totally be there for him. Damien, probably thinking, where was this energy before? Still appreciates it. He just wants someone to call dad at this point, which, yeah, makes total sense. But just when you think this might calm down, nope. Things are about to get even messier. You won't believe what's coming next.
If you're proven to be Mr. Johnson's father, what are your hopes for the future?
If I am proven to be Mr. Johnson's father, I'm gonna definitely, be a good role model to him, a mentor, do all type of stuff that a dad is supposed to do for a up-and-coming young man. I know it's very important for a young man to have a father in his life, and it's never too late.
You thought 5 possible dads was a lot? Nah. Ms. Johnson decides to up the ante and says, surprise, there's a 6th guy. That's right, we've got a brand new contestant, Mr. Harmon, who had no clue he was even in the running. She admits they didn't exactly have a deep relationship. It was more of a, let's hang out and, kind of thing. Mr. Harmon walks into the courtroom and you can practically hear everyone thinking, what now? But oh, don't blink, because Mr. Harmon's about to drop his own truth bomb.
We have 5 potential fathers.
There's another one.
You said there's another one.
Yeah.
So that is potential father number 6.
Yes.
And who is this man?
Mr. Harmon. We hung out a couple times and had a couple sexual encounters, and that was it. There was nothing whatsoever.
So here's Mr. Harmon, and his face says it all. He just found out about this whole paternity thing like 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks! He's been friends with Ms. Johnson this whole time and had no idea that he might be the dad. You've got a feel for the guy. He's like, wait, what? I have other kids, so this can't be right, can it? But nope, the plot just keeps getting juicier. Next up, we've got Damien spilling his feelings in a way that'll make your heart ache, even if you've got a heart of stone.
When is the first time you heard Damien could potentially be your biological son?
4 weeks ago.
So Miss Johnson reached out to you?
Well, we're friends. We're still friends.
Oh, wow. So you have been friends and you've seen Damien.
Yes. I have other kids, but I don't think that he's mine.
Okay, get the tissues, because Damien goes from chill to super emotional real quick. He's tearing up, saying how he feels like he's not as good as everyone else, because they all have dads and he doesn't. I mean, ouch. Judge Lake isn't having any of that though, and she jumps in to remind him how awesome he is. It's a super sweet moment, but let's not get too cozy, because the DNA results are right around the corner, and things are about to get wild again.
I feel like I'm not as good as everybody else because they all got dads.
Oh.
Feels
Just
like
break
that.
my heart. Don't you ever feel like that. You are worth it. You are just as good. That's why we're here for you, because you are important and worth it. And whether we get the answer today or not, still are worth it.
Here we go, time for the results, and let me tell you, these are some plot-twisting results. First up, Mr. Harmon, and guess what?
It has been determined by this court. The percentage of relatedness between Miss Lethea Murray and Damien Johnson is 0.00%. You are not related.
Oh man, things kicked off in a wild way, with Mr. Walker dropping some major drama right out of the gate. Mr. Walker says Miss DeVos had him believing he was the father of her son, Kaimani, for a whole year. But then, 6 months ago, she hit him with a bombshell and said he wasn't the dad. Plus, she wouldn't let him see the kid anymore. What happens next is seriously gonna mess with your mind. Just wait.
Mr. Walker, you claim the defendant led you to believe you fathered her son, Kamani, for an entire year, but just 6 months ago told you you are not father and refused
refuses to let you see him. You are here to prove that Kimani is your biological son.
This part really made my jaw drop. Miss DeVos just casually drops that she regrets a huge life decision. She says she feels bad for letting Mr. Walker sign the birth certificate, especially since she now believes he's not even Kimani's biological dad. All she wants now is to fix the mistake and take his name off that paper. But hold up. What she says about why she stayed quiet is totally gonna blow your mind.
I regret letting him sign the birth certificate. I feel bad because I let him do it, but I just wanted to get the truth out today and just figure out he's not the father so I can get him off the birth certificate.
And you feel that you have regret for allowing him to sign this birth certificate?
Yes.
But Mr. Walker, you are certain this is your biological child?
Yes, Your Honor, this is my son right here.
Okay, things got next level crazy when Miss DeVos spilled the beans about another guy being in the picture. She admits that during the time Kimani was conceived, she was with someone else too. Now she thinks that guy is probably the real dad. But Mr. Walker was the one she told from the start. The real kicker comes when you hear how Mr. Walker reacts to finding out.
Who were you with then?
I was with him, someone else.
Okay, so that's why we're here. So you admit you were also intimate with another person during the window of conception. When you find out she's pregnant, what do you do?
When I find out that she's pregnant, I really just start to prepare myself mentally, and I also was just looking for work. I had 2 jobs at the time. I was just really trying to just prepare myself for everything.
This part hit hard. Mr. Walker whipped out the receipts, literally. He shows the court the birth certificate where he's listed as the father, explaining that he was there for the whole pregnancy, living with Miss DeVos, and totally believing the baby was his. His dedication was real, and you could feel how much he cared. But buckle up, because Miss DeVos' next words are gonna take you for a spin.
What do you have there?
I actually have the birth certificate that I signed when he was first born.
I'd like to see that. And so you were there.
Yes,
she
Your Honor.
told you it was your child and you lived up to what you were supposed to do. This is the birth certificate for Kimani Dominique DeVos Walker. He has your last name and you are listed as father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Willingly and voluntarily.
Yes, Your Honor.
This moment really hit deep. Miss DeVos opens up about the huge weight she was carrying the whole time. She explains that growing up in foster care made her afraid, and that's why she didn't tell Mr. Walker about the other guy. She says she felt safe with him by her side during the pregnancy, even though she wasn't sure who the real dad was. And then, what she admits next really changes the whole vibe.
I just never wanted to tell him that it wasn't his because I knew the situation he'd been through and it was just hard. I didn't want to go through it alone. When he stepped up to being here, got 2 jobs he was a big baby. I couldn't hardly walk. I couldn't really do nothing. When he stepped up, I just felt like, okay, he's doing the right thing and maybe he might be the father. I don't know. He just...
Oh.
You won't believe this part. Miss DeVos just straight up admits why she picked Mr. Walker to be the dad, even though the other guy offered to help. She tells the court that when she told the real possible dad, he said he'd take responsibility if the baby was his. But since Mr. Walker was already there and ready to step up, she just went with him instead. The heartbreak really starts to set in after this, and trust me, it's not getting any easier to watch.
His response was like no other. It was just, okay, if it's mine, I'll take care of it.
And so why is it you chose Mr. Walker instead of him? If he said I'd take care of the child too.
My ex was in another city. He was in the same city as me. So if he's here, he will help. He's the father.
This moment was ice cold. During a text argument, Miss DeVos flat out tells Mr. Walker that Kimani isn't his son. The look on Mr. Walker's face says it all. He's been there for this kid, only to find out she's been hiding the truth. The judge isn't having any of it either and calls Miss DeVos out for the emotional wreckage she's caused. And if you thought this was bad, just wait until those DNA results come in.
Ms. DeVos, you write back, he's not your son. So as long as I'm on the birth certificate, I'm not going anywhere. You ruined my whole life. DeVos, you respond, you're not his father. You ruined your own life. Wow. You cold-blooded because you told him he was the biological father.
Yes, I did. He had the option if he wanted to be there or not. I didn't.
Here it is, the gut punch we were all waiting for.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Walker, you are not the father.
I'm sorry.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid. I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take take your responsibility.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday, and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Ms. Clark says Mr. Newby bailed when she got pregnant because his new girlfriend, Ms. Faulkner, filled his head with doubts. Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark was seeing someone else, and if he is the dad, wants custody because he thinks she's unfit. And just when it seems messy enough, the emotions explode.
Ms. Clark, you claim that you and the defendant, Mr. Newby, dated for only 3 months before you became pregnant with his baby. You say the relationship was moving forward until he left you for a woman you claim is old enough to be his mother. It is your belief that she is the reason Mr. Newby is denying paternity.
Ms. Clark shares her tough past. Her dad's decided to eliminate himself, her mom's death, and addiction struggles during pregnancy. She admits to using drugs while pregnant, but says jail helped her clean up. The crowd applauds her turnaround, but the drama's far from over. Because, of course, it's paternity court, and it only gets messier.
Your Honor, when I met him, I was in drug use, but, you know, we were together for 3 months. When he left me, I felt abandonment because when I was younger, at 13 years old, my dad had hung himself because of drug use. And then 5 years later, my mother had died when I was 18 years old because of cancer. So when he left me when I was 7 months pregnant, I felt abandonment and pain and agony.
Mr. Newby's suspicions take center stage. He thinks Ms. Clark cheated, and others kept feeding his doubts. He was initially excited about the pregnancy, even showed off the sonogram, but the gossip got to him. Then things take a strange turn involving fake baby photos.
When she first went to jail, she would call me, and yeah, I would talk to her because I was thinking that the baby might possibly be mine. I've had my doubts from the very beginning. She's constantly lied. She's cheated on me with her ex, like, what, 3-4 times?
No, only once.
Grocery store.
You know, you had doubts about being a father or whatever, then why'd you have this picture taken with me with the first ultrasound and being happy about being a father?
Things get weird when Ms. Clark admits sending Mr. Newby a random baby photo from the internet. Yep, a total internet baby to test if he cared. It only made Mr. Newby more suspicious. And that's not the end. Next up, it's all about hospital visits and boundary disputes.
Well, it was a picture of the internet. It sent him the picture, but I was just upset because he had left me to see if he would show any interest of seeing his son because he wasn't doing that.
You showed him a picture of a fake baby as if the baby had born.
Yeah,
yes.
A newborn baby. I got a picture on my cell phone. While I was at work, I showed my manager and ran home.
Hospital drama kicks off as Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of showing up to appointments with Ms. Faulkner. She calls it disrespectful, while Ms. Faulkner claims she was just giving a ride. Clearly, no one's on the same page, and now they're arguing about who pays for what.
He brought her to my doctor's appointment. That's disrespectful. I asked him, I was like, the day after my son was born, I said, you can come up here and see the baby. He said, oh no, I'm
and what does it matter if I drop him off? I was the only one willing to give him a ride to see his own kid.
That's disrespectful.
I have kids. I know what it's like being a single mom, and I would not be with Jesse if he would not take care of responsibility.
Ms. Clark accuses Mr. Newby of barely helping with the baby. He says he tried, but Ms. Clark always refused anything from Ms. Faulkner. Judge Lake jumps in, urging Mr. Newby to take more responsibility. But you can tell this fight is far from over, especially as the fitness to raise the child gets questioned.
I would call him and ask him if he can watch him or whatever, if he wants to see him. He said, I can't right now.
That is not true.
I want to take care of the baby. I tried taking care of the baby. You would not.
And when we bought stuff for the baby, she refused. She said, because Joanne got it, I don't want it. Because I bought it. She did not want to receive the gifts, and she did not want to want it.
But it's not your responsibility. It's his.
Our money is combined.
Yeah, the money.
I don't care.
Mr. Newby claims Ms. Clark is unfit because she used drugs while pregnant. Judge Lake points out Ms. Clark's efforts to get clean, and even Mr. Newby admits she's improved. It's all leading up to the big moment. The DNA results are about to be revealed.
How are you gonna be 7 months pregnant and then stick a needle into both of your guys' bodies?
But I
like that baby had to go through that for no reason. She didn't even give him a chance.
Ms. Clark admitted that was an absolute irresponsible action, which was inexcusable. I heard her say that. Mr. Newby, you are the father.
Ms. Holshoe storms into court claiming her mom had a fling with the defendant's dad, making her their sister. The Howard sisters are furious and call her a liar. Ms. Holshoe points out her name in the dad's obituary, and the drama levels up with more accusations.
Ms. Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Ms. Howard, you and your sisters say Ms. Holshoe is a delusional troublemaker whose promiscuous mother destroyed your family. family and ruined your home.
Ms. Holshoe says she has terminal cancer and wants closure on her dad. She heard about her real dad when her drunk stepdad spilled the tea during a fight. Her mom confirmed it, and things got messy from there.
I've recently learned that I have terminal cancer, and I'd like to have family history. And I also, which I know they don't want to, but I would also like to, because my stepdad was drunk, he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me. She took me and introduced me to DL. We had a relationship from then on.
The Howard sisters admit their dad once mentioned Ms. Holshoe might be their sister, but brush it off, claiming her mom slept around. The courtroom erupts into a messy argument, feeling like a Thanksgiving dinner gone bad.
One time when I was 19 years old, my dad, he was in from California. My parents were already divorced. We were in from California. He had us all meet him out at a country bar. We showed up, that and her mother was there. And after about a half hour, we had some drinks and stuff, and my dad
I don't even remember that, and she's lying, and I'm not a that. If anybody's a that, look over there.
Whatever the case may be.
The sisters talk about their dads cheating, but refuse to believe Ms. Holshoe. They share details from their lives, like detectives solving a case they want to ignore, throwing in some mean comments about her mom.
I was in California living with my father. We had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to where, at the bar where her mother was working, and caught her cheating on him. Probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to know me. It's not my fault that your dad had sex with my mother, and I'm a product of that.
Ms. Holshoe says she was invited to a Howard family reunion by Mr. Howard, but the sisters lose it, calling her a liar. She claims they chased her out, which the sisters deny. It's turning into a real soap opera.
Your Honor, Mr. Howard invited me to a Howard family reunion.
Lies.
It was at
Lies.
Guilford Lake.
That is a total lie.
How does she know where the reunion is if she was invited or someone didn't tell her?
Your Honor, I have been to every single family reunion.
And I have been
she
to-
has never been.
Is it held at that location?
I'm sure that she has this information because she's got it from my other sister.
Kelly Howard says she believes Ms. Holshoe because their dad literally introduced her as her sister. Everyone is left wondering if their dad ever thought this situation would end well.
Well, we were out one day, and I was about 19, and he said that he wanted me to meet one of his girlfriends. Met several of them before. So we go to Lynn's mother. He introduces me to her as my sister. We just went about our way after that, and I just took it as for what it was and just...
You never questioned it?
No. Our dad never lied to us.
Judge Lake reveals the DNA results.
That the probability of half-siblingship between Diana Howard and Misty Lynn Holshoe is 98.1%.
Two moms, Miss Taylor and Miss Johnson, team up against Mr. Barber, accusing him of being a deadbeat dad. They want over $7,000 in child support, and they're not holding back. Barber blames the moms for wanting too much money and causing drama. Miss Taylor claims he only cares about one kid because he's still sneaking around with that mom. It's like a soap opera, and the drama is just heating up. Miss Taylor says she gave birth alone, while Mr. Barber flirted on his phone. He blames work, but she's not buying it. This is just leading to more tension. Kids. She compares their constant fighting to nails on a chalkboard. The moms roll their eyes, and Mr. Barber tries to act calm. Let's see if anyone steps up.
We're used to watching people in dispute yell and scream. I can only imagine.
Mr. Barber says Miss Cooper, the third mom, actually defends Mr. Barber, calling the others bitter. She claims he's great with her kid. The room gets awkward, but the financial drama isn't over.
Do you feel like he treats your child differently?
No, I don't. I feel like he loves all his kids the same. I just feel like me and him have came to a common ground to co-parent. Our relationship and what we've been through, none of that matters.
Is he good?
Yes, he is. Very well.
Love.
She's a daddy's girl. She's the only one wants to be with him.
Judge Lake awards Miss Taylor 80. She tells Mr. Barber being a dad is more than just photo ops. It's like a game show where nobody wins.
You know,
a reality check. Time to grow up and stop letting his kids down. The moms hope he takes it seriously. It ends on a hopeful note, but this drama feels far from over.
When you got these women pregnant, you didn't know who you were. But now you said you found yourself. You know what you're passionate about. Learn to be an engineer. And when you have a client, you don't want to let the client down. You don't want to let your child. You have to now step up to the plate and be that father that you want to be.
Wow, this episode kicks off with fireworks. Miss Jackson is in court to face her husband's mistress and prove the mistress's baby isn't her husband's. Oh, and she's ready to end her marriage if she's wrong. Yep, it's going to be one of those cases. Let's go. Discovery of the affair.
Miss Jackson, you say you're here to confront your husband's mistress and to prove her 1-month-old daughter, Kiesha, is not his biological daughter.
Your Honor.
Furthermore, you say you learn today that the child is in fact your husband's, your marriage is over.
That's right, Your Honor.
Things get real when Miss Jackson tells the story of how she found out her husband was sneaking around. Oh, but Miss Jackson wasn't having it. This was just the warm-up round of the drama.
I got an epiphany, call it woman's intuition, whatever you want. Well, I went to my husband's job. It was about 9:30 or 10:30 at night. He approached the car. We talked for a few minutes. To end our conversation, I told him, feel as though there's something going on that you hadn't told me, because he had been distant in the days prior to. I had put him out.
The mistress, Miss Lipscomb, tries to explain herself. And her story, it's wild. She says Mr. Jackson told her he wasn't married, even though he was rocking a wedding ring. But instead of smelling the lies, she bought his excuse. It's about to get even messier, so stick around.
When she came to their job, why did she come up there or why didn't she come up there? I've never seen her a day in my life. I knew her voice. I was sitting up, Mr. Jackson, and she calls and the kids calls. That's how I know her voice so high pitched. You can hear her through the phone. My BM, which is my baby mother. BM does not spell wife. Wife is spelled W-I-F.
Oh, she
not
can spell,
BM.
Your Honor. Wow.
Imagine catching your husband's mistress chilling in a hotel room you're paying for. Yeah, that happened. Miss Jackson recalls finding Miss Lipscomb at the hotel and letting her know exactly who the boss is. Spoiler alert, this showdown gets even crazier when Mr. Jackson shows up later.
Maybe a week after that, I was talking to, because my husband went to jail that night, Your Honor.
You sent him to jail
I was
over
angry
bogus.
enough. It was an impulsive decision, and I understand it was not the right decision, Your Honor, because I knew that he had some legal issues going on in another state. The next morning, I go to the room, find Miss Lipscomb laying in the bed crying.
I
like she
told
just
you I
lost
was
her
going back
puppy.
to the room,
But
Carl
died.
talking to me.
Oh, here comes Mr. Jackson, looking like he just walked into a tornado. He admits he never told Miss Lipscomb he was married, saying, she didn't ask. Really? That's the excuse? The judge isn't buying it, and honestly, neither are we. What happens next is gold. Miss Jackson's generosity.
Ms. Lipscomb says she had no idea you had a wife.
No, she didn't, because I never mentioned it to her, Your Honor.
So that part of her statement is true. You never told her you were married.
No, Your Honor.
When Miss Lipscomb first started talking, I didn't believe for 1 minute that she didn't really know you were married and confirmed the lie.
Oh, I didn't tell her no lie, I just didn't never mention it to her. She never asked.
You think Miss Jackson would be done, right? Nope. She actually bought baby stuff for the mistress's kid because she felt bad. She thought the drama was over, but surprise, Miss Lipscomb admits the affair never really stopped. This mess is nowhere near cleaned up.
Not only have we had conversations, before I didn't deny the child, I went and bought over $900 and some worth of stuff for her baby. Like I told her, from the conversation, Your Honor, she seemed really distraught. She said that, I don't know how it feels not to know who your child's father is, Your Honor. Whether it's my husband's child or not, out of the kindness of my heart, Your Honor, I understand that we all have shortcomings.
Just when you think it's bad enough, Miss Jackson drops another bomb. Miss Lipscomb might have had another boyfriend during all this. She even brings receipts, aka Facebook posts, to prove it. Let's just say, things are starting to feel more like a soap opera in real life. Hang tight.
I found out when I was in jail, because I guess the beginning of the year, her birthday time, she got sick and went to the hospital. And my wife told me that she said she was pregnant then.
On her Facebook page, Your Honor, she had listed that she was going to the hospital. At that time, Your Honor, she was with another man, and I have evidence.
This piece of evidence shows that she was also dealing with another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, but Mr. Jackson didn't just sign the birth certificate. He was at the hospital. He put this baby on his wife's military benefits too. Like, that's not a big deal. The audacity, off the charts. And you already know, Miss Jackson is not about to let that slide.
He didn't cut the cord, but he was there.
So he did come for the birth?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes.
You did?
So if it's
Your
not
Honor.
his child,
Your
why would he sign the
Could I-
birth certificate?
could I
Even more to speak on
So
her
Mr.
behalf.
Jackson, you've acknowledged paternity?
Yes.
Your Honor, that's why the baby was placed on my benefit. I also
The
have it
baby
from my
is what? Anything for my
placed on
child.
my benefit, Your Honor. I also have proof of that.
At this point, the whole courtroom is on edge as these two women go back and forth like it's the finals in a shouting competition. Miss Lipscomb says Miss Jackson is just using the baby as a reason to divorce Mr. Jackson. The judge steps in to say, enough already, but trust me, the next part is gonna leave you shook.
Oh, I just believe she wants to know if this is his child so she can divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. If you want to divorce him, divorce him. Don't use my child as a crutch. This woman is delusional. The whole time I was pregnant,
I'm delusional
she
when
swore
I'm
that
married
she
and
was
you're messing
pregnant.
with my husband.
She's been pregnant 4 times since I have had my daughter. Right here,
not
that
telling
she
you
sent
that
me
I'm
in
pregnant
May.
now. That's
You
the
sent
part
me,
that
I
you
was just
hadn't
saying,
admitted
I
to
told
me.
you every time.
The moment everyone's been waiting for. The DNA test comes back, and boom.
When it comes to 1-month-old Keasia Jackson, Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
This kicks off like a reality show where nobody's winning. Mr. Burrage says he's been played and wants his name off the birth certificate, plus his money back for childcare. Mrs. Stephanies is fed up, saying Burrage was a great dad until now. Things are already wild, but they're about to get wilder.
Mr. Barrage, you've dragged Miss Stephens to court because you say you're being played for a fool. And when today's DNA results prove that you are not her daughter, father, you demand that your name be removed from her birth certificate and you be reimbursed for the past 8 months of child care expenses.
Both had side flings. Welcome to the world's messiest love triangle. Burrage admits he had a girlfriend while seeing Miss Stephanies, who also had another guy. Miss Stephanies says Burrage knew what he was getting into, but things turned awkward real fast. If you thought this was messy, just wait, there's more.
I also had another woman on the side, and you had another guy on the side.
And I never knew it was a girlfriend. We were together every day since the first day we started hanging out.
No.
But when I sent you the pregnancy test and told you I was pregnant, you said what? I'm gonna be in her life. That's my child. You was there, you signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to do that willingly because you felt obviously that she was your child.
That's like a soap opera crossed with a bad rom-com. Burrage claims he was trapped into this baby, saying she wanted him away from his girlfriend. Ms. Stephanies says he chose to be there because he liked how she treated her kids. The judge looks like she needs a lie detector test for this one. But hey, it's just getting started.
That's my child. I'm gonna be in his or her life. He's saying that I was just something to do, but that was never my impression. Me and Fernando, we was together all the time. It wasn't no one night stand. We was together consistently every day. I didn't think we were in a relationship, but I thought it was more because I knew that my intentions was to get more than what it was.
And you also said this to me, talking like you gonna try to take me away from my girl. You know what I'm saying? Trying to set me up, trying to trap me.
This is nosy neighbor heaven. Gossip galore. Burrage says neighbors told him Stephanies was seeing half the block, making him question if the baby was his. He even points out the baby's complexion is too different. Ms. Stephanies rolls her eyes like she's had enough of this nonsense. The judge starts piecing things together, but it only gets weirder.
I didn't know how many guys she slept with. Guys coming out the blue in the neighborhood while I stay, just come out the blue. I hit that, I hit that.
And he's going off what other people saying. Ask him, does he know anything that's for sure? Not what people are saying.
Do you know for sure? Do you have any proof of this?
I have proof, Your Honor. For one, Your Honor, I don't have light blue, green, hazel eyes, Your Honor. That's for one.
The other guy has light eyes.
Yes, Your Honor.
This part is either touching or hilarious. Burrage shares he didn't have a dad growing up and didn't want the same for Phelan, but now feels foolish. Ms. Stephanies says she thought Burrage was her ride or die, now feels humiliated. Just when things seem settled, bam, a twist.
I really don't know who my father is, because my name ain't on the birth certificate other than what my mother tell me, but ain't no name on the birth certificate. On my generation, my close in that family, all the way to like 1874. And like far as our genetic code, everybody, we got big eyes, big nose, big lip. That baby got light eyes, little nose.
From you, Mr. Barrage, she's my child also. She can have my genes.
Things just got crazier. Ms. Stephanies reveals she's 5 months pregnant with Burrage's baby. Burrage says she trapped him again, while she insists otherwise. The judge looks like she could use a coffee break, and honestly, same. But the drama isn't over yet.
My biological mom wasn't in my life, nor my father. I didn't meet him till I was 12. And ain't no telling if that's my biological father. Why would I put my children? Phelan is my 5th child. I'm pregnant again by Mr. Barrage. And what, to go through the same thing? I'm 5 months pregnant as we speak now.
She trapped me, Your Honor. She trapped me with this one.
Things get awkward fast. Stephanies admits she was with another guy, but says it ended before Phelan was conceived. Burrage isn't buying it, thinking he might not be the only possible dad. The audience practically yells at their TVs, trying to solve this like a crime drama. The tension here could power a whole city.
Have you ever had a sexual relationship with this other guy? So you have. What he's saying is you've had a sexual relationship with this guy. For some reason, you're still around him all the time.
Because
unprotected sex, Your Honor.
Was it unprotected or protected sex?
Unprotected. When I met Mr. Barrage, that relationship, no, not at the same time.
It might be another man, baby. You know they got a name for themselves.
This had everyone rolling their eyes. Burrage says Stephanies put voodoo on him, earning a look from the judge like, really? The judge points out Burrage signed the birth certificate and played dad. Stephanies says she wanted more than just a fling, and now she feels tossed aside. Finally, the moment of truth is near.
Both of you have stood in court today and testified that you feel like fools.
Yes, Your Honor. A special type of food, though, Your Honor.
What kind?
She put some type of voodoo on me or something, Your Honor.
Acting like you don't care nothing about this girl. You are wasting my time. I'm trying to get to this paternity issue and you trying to act like you don't care nothing about this girl. Hit it and quit it girl that you don't care nothing about.
The DNA results are the grand finale.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barrage, you are her father.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Lake kicks off Butterfield versus Bracknell Dallas, a messy paternity case about baby Kara. Butterfield claims he's the father, while Bracknell insists it's her fiancé Dallas. You can already feel the chaos brewing.
Mr. Butterfield, you've summoned your ex-girlfriend, Ms. Bracknell, to paternity court to prove that you are the father of her 2-month-old daughter, Kara. You say she's denying you are Kara's dad because she's worried her family will be torn apart when the results prove you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Butterfield says he and Bracknell planned for a baby, and during their breakup, she mentioned a gift. He wonders if that meant Kara feeling left out of her birth. The drama's just getting started.
Me and Mrs. Bracknell had a residence together for almost a year. We did try to have a baby together before. She had told me when we were breaking up, she said, "Thank you for the gift." And I said, "What gift was that?"
And then when you found that out, you thought to yourself, was that the gift?
The baby?
Yeah, you thought
My daughter, yes.
Bracknell says she found out about the pregnancy months after leaving Butterfield. She thinks the baby looks like her other kids with Dallas, but Dallas is ready to present some evidence next.
When did you find out you were pregnant?
Honestly, I didn't find out until, I'd say 3 months after I did move out of his house. I was having irregular periods, so I just let it go for a minute. I'm not really a doctor person.
So what you're saying is when this relationship ended, you didn't know you were pregnant?
No.
But once you found out you were pregnant,
How could you not? You're not having periods.
Dallas brings out a calendar, claiming Bracknell moved in with him when Kara was conceived. Butterfield claps back, insisting he was still seeing her. The mystery deepens.
So this calendar outlines the date when the relationship with Mr. Butterfield and Ms. Bracknell. Kara was conceived in mid-September, and she was born in June. And she ended the relationship with Mr. Butterfield at the end of August. There's no way Mr. Butterfield is Kara's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Dallas declares Kara his daughter, no matter the DNA results. Butterfield insists he'll step in if she's his. The room is tense, with emotions ready to burst.
Have you ever considered how you would react if, in fact, Kara is not your biological child?
You know what, Your Honor? I'm gonna love her the same. She's gonna be my little daughter. I'm gonna raise her my life. Nothing's gonna change. I love her to death, just like I do now. He's actually made our family stronger.
That's good. I'm not trying to get her back. I'm just trying to be in my daughter's life.
No, you just have a...
Butterfield found out about Kara via a Facebook post, with someone else holding her. He accuses Bracknell of hiding it, but she denies it. The back and forth doesn't seem to end.
The only time that I actually ever found out that you guys were even pregnant, that's a Facebook post that they posted on that the baby was even. That's before I even knew.
It says, this little girl is ready.
Yep, that little girl is ready right there. And then I also, the only thing I got was a text message from of a friend saying of her sister holding my daughter.
Butterfield accuses Bracknell of cheating and even leaving him on his birthday. She denies everything. The tension rises as they prepare for the next round of accusations.
She cheated on me on my birthday.
I did not cheat on you.
She was gone with her ex on my birthday and then come crawling back after that.
She was gone with Mr. Dallas or somebody else?
Somebody else. There could be more than one person that she's been with.
It's not true, Your Honor.
When I found out about it, I messaged her mom, let him know I was coming. I blocked, obviously, on their
That you were
Facebook.
coming? Let's explain that text message.
You guys even got together.
Butterfield insists Kara is his, pointing out physical similarities. Bracknell counters, saying Kara resembles Dallas and her other kids. Everyone's waiting for the DNA test to decide.
She looks more like me. Even her own family says it. They look like me. She's got my nose, she's got my lips, she's got my brown hair. All her boys are blonde.
Yep, and they've gone brown the older they get.
Exactly.
So you are convinced, Mr. Butterfield, this is your daughter?
Oh, I'm 100% convinced.
Judge Lake asks if Dallas would stay if Kara isn't his, and he says yes without hesitation. His devotion is clear, but the DNA results will soon shake everyone.
So therefore, if in fact Kara is not your biological child, will you be able to continue this relationship?
Oh, yeah.
You will?
Yep.
Okay. It has been determined by this court, Mr. Butterfield.
What did I tell you?